Welcome to Fulham Fix. How you doing, Felix? All right?
Uh, I'm doing really good, Ivan. Even better for having hosted the 2000-2001 champions dinner
Oh,
with Tig and
unbelievable,
his
wasn't it?
team last week. I mean, I wish we could have taken Fulham Fix listeners into that place. Everyone could. It was amazing, wasn't it?
It was so good. It was
Yeah.
a real once in a lifetime experience, and
And
just
watching that team all like when they saw each other the first time, it really was like old best friends at school and seen
yeah,
each other for 20 years. It was beautiful, wasn't it?
yeah. And I think what was really nice is when they were arriving, we got because we were there so early, we got to see them walking through the door,
Yeah.
greeting each other. Some of them for the first time in sort of 10 years, 15 years, and it was like it genuinely felt like we were witnessing just something pretty special going on.
I had the best time, and I know that everyone at that event really had a magical time because the players, even Tigner himself, he was giving up lots of time for people, wasn't he? Like everyone there got a photo, got a chat with Tigner, including me,
Yeah.
signed plectrum,
I was
that
about to
kind of
say, you
thing.
got your plectrum signed, and that is the
But
main thing, right?
my favorite part of the event was when like halfway through, because we had like obviously we were going through whatever we were doing. And you just stopped the whole thing. You stopped me talking to say, I've just seen John Tigana put a toothpick in his mouth. And I looked there and it was like he was like glowing with a toothpick. Like I think it was because the light was on him.
I couldn't believe it. We were just trying. It was just after the starters,
Yeah,
and I figured we're not pitch side. He's not going to have a toothpick.
yeah.
And then they've just finished the starters. We're doing the next bit, and then yeah, look over, and he's just there, and I'm like, do I say something? And I had this moment, this
No, you
little
had
boy
to.
moment, and I
You
just
had to.
yeah,
It was so iconic. I could barely look at it when he played it out. I was like, it's too hard for me to even see it.
yeah,
But yeah, really, really incredible.
it really was. It really
Yeah,
was.
great
Oh my
game.
God.
Great.
Listen, I mean, it's what's so interesting is obviously, before that incredible period, um, that every Fulham fan knows and loves, the climbing up the leagues to the Premier League. Um, we actually went through quite I suppose, a pretty dark patch, a tough patch in
Mhm.
Fulham's history where we were really,
Yeah.
really struggling. And there's a few really big unsung heroes during that time, and that's one of our guests today. And I think, yeah, a real workhorse, a real unsung hero, and someone that I think represents maybe a tougher time in Fulham's history.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy to forget when we're signing Kevin and Smith Rowe and all these people for
I
30 million pounds. But there was a time when it was much harder to come by footballers, and the ones that stayed with us and through those years are the ones that like they have a special place in the history of Fulham Football Club because they're there through the rough times, and we wouldn't have got here without them. So this week is Gary Brazil. If
Mm.
you don't know Gary Brazil, if you're a bit too young or you weren't there during the sort of period, but he played for Fulham between 1990 and 1996, so through those exact years that Ivan just described then.
Yeah, and he scored a pretty incredible 53 goals in 237 games.
Yeah,
Um,
mad.
which during that period again, just that's a goal every 4 games. So that's
Good maths,
amazing.
Ivan.
Thank you.
And not only that, but he came back to work for the club later. And this is a really interesting episode because we thought we were going to talk about him, about said goals in games, about that period of football, which of course we do. But he now works with young players in England. And as soon as he came in and sat down before we started recording, he started talking about Josh King, about identifying Josh King, about knowing him early and, realizing his talent. So that was just a really nice way to start the conversation where we were linking Gary Brazil, that's you have talk about being from the old Fulham with Josh King, but couldn't be more from the new Fulham.
Yeah.
So that's where we sat down and started chatting. We should have to say that Ivan is you're doing your stadium announcing at this, like, is it match day? I think it is.
Yeah,
Or is it?
yeah. So it was on a match day, and I think we got so into it and so kind of carried away that I lost track of time, and I had
So
to
you had
rush
to
off
run halfway through.
halfway through. So real apologies for that, but yeah, it was a real pleasure.
Got to work
And
soon. Brilliant. Here's Gary. Come on, Fulham. Gary Brazil, welcome to Fun and Fix. Welcome back to Craven Cottage, mate. How long have you been? How long has it been since you've been here?
I was here last season to watch games.
Oh, wait, okay.
Through the job I have now, but to see it as it is now, and literally just looking out from the cottage before we came up here, it's fantastic to see the club growing in the nature that it is. It's a proper Premier League football club now.
But that's the interesting thing, because obviously you signed early 90s, which we'll get into in a second. But the thing that I always say about Craven Cottage is that it still looks like it used to, but obviously it's had so much development now. Like, when you look at it now, do you still see the place that you played at?
No, I would have to say, because Hammersmith End, and you can see from the Stevenage Road side, you can see that a little bit, but it's just dwarfed by what it looks a fantastic new stadium, and that's impacted on the what would that be? Is it the Putney End?
Yeah.
So that looks very, very different, but just the quality of the surface, everything that goes with it, it just it oozes a bit of class now.
It really does.
It looks very much.
What was the pitch like in your playing days then? Because it is. I mean, if you've ever had a chance, and I know you've been on the pitch a couple of times and stuff, but it is like carpet. It's so soft. It's
so these days they play on bowling greens.
Pretty much.
And if I was to take you back to where we trained, which was the Fire Brigade ground at Banstead, that wasn't even good in pre-season. No. So in terms of the surfaces, so it's a completely different world. These guys now, I mean, I visit Motspur Park quite a bit, watching games, and the surfaces that the guys train on are outstanding. The arena pitch at Motspur Park is a fantastic surface now, and this is what the first team players and the academy players expect now.
Yeah.
In my day, in the period of time that I played here in the early 90s, you look forward to pre-season as in playing on some really nice pitches, but the pitches soon went, and the cottage was always a decent pitch, but compared to what we have now, night and day.
Did you have to think about that? Because obviously now you signed for them from Newcastle, which was now we think of those teams relatively on a par. Obviously Newcastle, massive club. But at that time, that must have been, you signed the same day as Simon Morgan.
It did.
I believe.
Yeah.
About 100k it was. We don't know.
I think
something
it's about,
like that.
well, that's what, if the internet's to be believed, we're saying.
It's around that fee.
Yeah.
And what was it? So you would have made a step down to join Fulham.
Correct.
What were the decisions behind that? Did you feel like, I'm just going to boss this place a little bit?
Oh, not at all. No, it wasn't the case. It's interesting. The reason to move was I wanted to play football, and I got to a point whereby, I mean, we only had one substitute in that era of football, so you often weren't even involved on a Saturday. Now, I think the world has changed, rightly or wrongly, but players are a lot more patient. If they don't play quite often, they use the whole squad. But in my day, if you were out the squad, you were out the squad, and you would sit in the stand and watch. And it wasn't that period of my time. I think I was about 28 then, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play football. It's what I come into the profession for. And I think not just myself, but a number of people, when you went out of the team, and I went from being in the team to on the bench with Newcastle, and then I had quite a serious injury I dislocated my clavicular joint on my shoulder, and then really struggled to get back in after that, and made a couple of appearances. But I knew that I was struggling to get in that team. Newcastle was really growing.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a stand. If you look at Newcastle's grounds, when I played there, both ends of the pitch were open. Nowadays, I go up there quite a lot because my lad is the under-16s coach up there. So I go up there quite a lot, and that looks completely different, as does this.
Yeah.
But back to your point, the reason for the move was I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
As simple as that. And I wanted to wake up on a Saturday morning and have those butterflies and knowing I was going to be playing in a game. And it was as simple as that. It's a different world for these guys now.
And was there reassurance that you would get regular game time if you came down to Fulham?
No, but there was a desire from the club to take me. So straight away they were invested in me, and they made me feel that they were really keen to have me here. And it's good to be wanted. In any football club, any player, you're not guaranteed football. You have to perform. So, but I was comfortable with the fact that I'd be able to perform and be able to get myself into the team. So, but it was from being sort of out of the way a little bit up at Newcastle, it was a case of, right, come on, get your career going.
What sort of club was Fulham that you like in your mind's eye when you signed for it? Because obviously now with hindsight, you can say, well, Fulham was going to go on to become
an established Premier League club, and obviously in the 70s we had been a top flight team as well.
Yes.
Did it feel like you were joining Fulham at, I'm not going to use the word bleak period of time, but just like a difficult period were you aware what you were walking into, basically?
Yeah, exactly that, Felix. I mean, I knew what I was coming into, but I would refer you back to the answer I gave to the last question. I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best time for the club. There were good people here. There were good players here. But I think it had forgot how to win. And I think it was a tough time for everybody in that it lacked momentum and trying to get that momentum going. And we did at times. We got momentum going where we were in around playoff positions as we were going through seasons, but it just sort of petered away towards the end.
Yeah.
And there wasn't the money in the club at that point to invest in the squad, to spend money, and so it was almost like the people that were in charge of the team at that point, they worked with what they got.
Yeah.
Which on a given day we could beat anybody in the league. We did. It was the consistency that was lacking. When you lost certain key players, the depth wasn't there either.
Right.
So that caused problems. So you needed all your best players fit and ready every game, which isn't easy.
Go on, mate, sorry.
No, go on. You.
When you're talking about those managers, like, or people in charge, you're talking about Branford, Lewington, maybe. Were those, like, in terms of your time at the club? Well, Ray Lewington, firstly, maybe, because we now look at Ray as an absolute Fulham. Like, if you're like iconic Fulham names, Ray's one of them in terms, because he was in part of that Hodgson team. Obviously, went to Europa League final in the early 90s. Did he have a feeling of being very Fulhamish to you and caring about the club?
First of all, what I got from Ray was somebody that wanted to help players and teach players.
Yeah,
he was a really good coach and a decent man.
Yeah,
and probably not utilised as well as he could have been in that period of time. And Lou has gone on to show just what a good coach he was, and I think that relationship with Roy sort of brought the best out of Ray. They worked really well as a pair.
Yeah,
I witnessed that when I came back to the club I think about 2007 I come back to the club, but in that period of time when I come back to coach here, watching Lou and Roy work together they were a proper pigeon pair, and it worked really well on the training ground, but it allowed Lou to really properly blossom, and Ray's a fantastic coach.
Yeah.
As is Roy, and it worked really well for the club here.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that he wasn't utilised, is there something you think specifically they could have done differently with him, or was it just the lack of finances, maybe not pairing him with the right people?
No, you would have. I think probably if the people running the football club understand the real qualities of Ray, they'd have given him the gig and let him get on with it, and let him grow and put good people around Ray. And that's no disrespect to the people that were in and around it then. But I would say to you that sort of Lou, and you mentioned Ian, I thought Ian was very good as well.
Yeah.
So Ian was very clear what he wanted from a group of players. And he made real demands of players, and it was that type of manager I really enjoyed working with. But Lou made you really think about the game. And it was the people that you had through your football career that didn't always give you the answers, but made you think about what the potential things you could do. And I really responded to people like that over the years in my own career, and I took that into my coaching career. But Lou was someone that would always want to engage, talk about football, had time for people, and was very good on the grass. There was never a point where a Ray Lou session wasn't an interesting session.
Brilliant. Yeah. Were you identifying at that time, like, you wanted to stay in football in the sense that you have, obviously you identify talent now for England, and you coached Fulham at a youth level at a period of time. Were you thinking that's where you were going to move to even in your playing days? Was that a sense of that, working with people like Ray?
I knew I'd love to stay in the game, because that's your passion.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one of those when I was going through my career, I was thinking, I don't fancy that. I sort of looked, I was fascinated by people that held those positions.
Yeah.
And learnt a lot by observing. Once I'd got through to the end of my football career, I'd already got an idea that I was going to coach. I got myself as qualified as I could to try, and it was just a case of waiting and seeing what I could get.
Yeah.
And I didn't know whether it was going to be in youth development, or whether it was going to be at first team level. And I had experiences being an assistant manager and worked really well with Sam Allardyce at Notts County, and thoroughly enjoyed that little period of time, but really good learning. And I took on being a manager. But I found that my niche was in development and being able to grow something properly. And I think not just myself, but as a young manager, you're just not afforded time. And you've got to be really lucky to pick the right club to go into that gives you that time, and the right people running that football club. And I realised quite early on that whether you were good on a Monday to Friday or not, it was all about 2 hours on a Saturday. So that wasn't something I really enjoyed. Winning wasn't particularly that much fun. Losing kills you for the next week, and living in that mindset I didn't particularly enjoy. So I decided that I wanted to go down a route of working in youth development. I wanted to develop young players, and the opportunity was afforded me when I came into Fulham. John Murter offered me a job as the under-18 coach, and stayed at the academy for the best part of 4 or 5 years, eventually working with Hugh Jennings, and then working with a group of really good football people inside. And we really got something going. And I'd say probably that was one of my favourite times as a coach here, with the likes of Kit, with Mark Pembridge, with Vic Bettinelli, with Lee Hagger. It had a lovely feel to it. There were good people behind the scenes that worked really well in the offices. People like Charlotte were outstanding, and it had a really good feel to it. And we started to get some real momentum. Unfortunately, I had to leave the club, but what Steve Wigley and the guys here have done since then, and some of the players have brought through, it's lovely to see the academy still thrive and do well.
Do you, just to jump ahead of time a little bit, we were talking just before we went on about Josh King and about you known him for a long period of time, just from an England perspective. Firstly, I think more general question about Josh as well. Do you have a sense of what age do you have a sense about a player, and did you have that about Josh from a young age? And then from a wider view outside of Fulham, what do you think? Because I spoke to Jeff when we watched him last week, saying, do you think he's one of the first footballers we've had at Fulham that can play for England relatively regularly? And we're thinking actually he probably is the person that's in the shout with that.
Yeah, I think there are a number of, England is blessed with a number of really good young players coming through. There are some outstanding young talent coming through within the pathway. So probably from under 15s up to under 20s, under 21s, we've got some outstanding young players coming through. And Josh is one of those players who, now that he's been able to get into Fulham's first team and he's playing week in, week out, the difference in the boy very, very quickly is noticeable. Fitness-wise, you're going to be fitter if you're playing week in, week out. But physically, there's a change to him. And the fact that he's been able to handle Premier League football as well as he has done and deserve to be on the pitch is fantastic. Going back to your original question, I think there's a lot of talent out there. You're really looking for the human being, you're looking for the character, because a lot of people in different walks of life have talent. It's whether they really want to utilise that talent properly, and that comes from the person and the character of the person. Now, Josh is blessed. He's a smashing kid, really good background, good family. He's got that little bit of an edge to him where, he's not going to waste a day. And my experience over the years developing players has been you lean more and more into the person than you do the talent. The talent's there, and it's really interesting. I've seen a lot more talent fall by the wayside than I have people with really good characters and real drive get the most out of what talent they have.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
So the desire is to look in on the person and be clear on the character of the person. And you can, somebody that wants to come into work, whatever they do, and they come in and they want to use that day really productively and get the most out of that day, they can continue to get better. And they also make environments better.
Yeah.
So for coaches, in environments like we're talking about, having people like that around are really important because they drive the environment as well.
Yeah.
And the more good people you have in an environment, you've got a great chance to keep getting that environment better.
The better everyone's going to be, yeah.
What's really interesting as well is your own personality in football is I just wanted to play. I didn't sort of care how. I'm happy to drop down if necessary. I want to play. That seems to be something that's across the board missing quite a bit. Even with a lot of certain kids we've had over the years I mean, you must see that an awful lot, when you're scouting, when you're looking at talent, that there's a certain money driving it, especially when you've got a lot of these youth players with agents at such a young age or families advising. Do you often look for almost a bit of yourself in some of these players, that drive, that passion?
Good question.
Well, that's part of the thing we've just been talking about. I think you've just hit the nail on the head where what the player is now, whereas maybe what I was like when I was younger, you didn't have the circus that goes on around the player as well. I'm not sure the player really has a big desire to leave and wants to go here, there and everywhere, and it's all about money. That's put into them as they get older. So there's drivers from other people around the player. So Patrick Roberts, who was coming through so well inside the academy, and then he gets so far and all of a sudden he's leaving, is a great shame for the club. I don't think if you'd have just brought Patrick Roberts through per se, Patrick Roberts would have wanted to leave Fulham. But you've got a load of forces around him that start to, for want of a better term, manipulate that situation. I think we're in a world now whereby there is a lot of money for young players now. Players can earn a ridiculous amount of money, in my own opinion, too soon.
Yeah.
But market forces and don't, when you've got a young player who is earning good money, don't worry, the business that's giving them that money sees them as an asset that is worth a hell of a lot of money to the business.
Yeah.
So, it works both ways. But it's important that wherever these players, if you just take it as the players, when we're talking to the players on camp, when I do my job now, it's making sure that they're focused on, the games program, that they're training properly, that we can go and watch them, because if they're not playing, it's really hard to pick them for England. So now when we go back to young Josh, it's quite easy to discuss Josh and look at the potential to promote him and take him up to Lee's team, to Lee Carsley's team, because he's playing week in, week out. So the ability for them to play football and to continue to develop, but the camps are also there for me to be able to sit down and really get an understanding of what the person is.
So do you think that you can successfully, I know I sort of asked the version of this question earlier, but is there any fail-safe way of identifying someone at a very young age, or do you think it's just it's how it unfolds between the ages of 13 to 18?
There are a number of factors, Felix, that we'd have to take into consideration from a boy at that age going through. There's a lot of parts of life that these kids have got to get through. First off, so they have these days, even more so. The boys are living completely different lives. There's so much on them in terms of how they look after themselves, making sure that they're eating properly, hydration's good, sleeping patterns are really good, really committing, because you have to commit, because everybody in the world, just about most footballers in the world, want to come and play in England. They want to play in the Premier League, and kids are trying to fight to get one of those places. So there's no guarantees. As I said, the talent is lovely, and you'll see a lot of boys with a lot of talent. It's putting it together with real strong character, and be driven internally and have internal motivation to get the most out of the opportunity.
That's a mad thing, isn't it? Because even football at not a high level for 8, 9, 10-year-olds is very, very competitive. Do you know what I mean? Like, even every game of football you watch, everyone will seem to know, and there'll just be this level of like angst in it, which I don't think really exists. It doesn't exist in any other sport. And I don't know if it exists in other countries, but in England especially, you must be exposed to that all the time, that level of competitiveness that the game has.
Where does the competitiveness come from? Is it on the pitch, or is it on the side of the pitch?
Well, there you go. I'd like you to answer your own question.
I think this you look at it now and you see so much money.
So parents are thinking.
You can understand the added interest from families. I'm not saying that's a generalisation that's really poor, but you can see it, and that can create more angst on the side of the pitch than probably there was a few years ago. I mean, listen, when my two were growing up, there was still lively on the side of the pitch sometimes, depending on who they were playing against. But at the same point, when you're starting to, if you went down to Motspur Park on a Sunday morning and saw the younger age groups, as much as and this is for every academy, as much as there are codes of conduct of how parents are meant to behave and stuff, listen, the parents are also smelling the opportunity and the financial opportunity for their child as well. So Yeah, it's not easy waters for academy managers and academy staff to swim through.
Yeah, yeah. Because you have to have that sense that, when that kid gets back in the car with a parent, there's going to be a separate conversation happening there that's telling the kid something, and then you're almost trying to tell the kid something on more of a level outside of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the awareness now that these clubs, for people like Alistair here and PSR, you're aware of your assets that are coming through the academy.
Yeah.
And you're aware that quite often we're seeing young players moving from club to club.
Yeah.
Chelsea are losing their players to Liverpool. Liverpool are losing their players to Man City. Man City are losing their players to Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going on everywhere now, and it's there's a lot of money in some of these young kids that when clubs are getting quite close to the wind with PSR, you're looking into your academy for maybe offsetting some.
Yeah, totally.
well.
We done well there with Josh. Just want to go back in time again just to your playing career, because one untapped thing about you being at Fulham, obviously other than scoring 50 goals in 200 games roughly, is actually your interaction. Did you know Jimmy Hill very well? Because we've done many episodes of Fulham, and for some strange reason he hasn't really come up much, his name. Like, what was it? Was he a real character here when
Yes.
And did he sell the club to you, and were you in
Yeah, I mean, you knew him the minute you walked into a room and Jimmy was there. Obviously, you knew him.
Yeah.
You'd grown up seeing him on your telly every
Huge
Saturday
celebrity.
night, so
Yeah.
you knew a lot about. I didn't know as much about him as I wanted to know at the time I met him, because when I've read about him since and some of the things he'd done within the game and what
Yeah.
he did for Coventry City, you're like, wow, go on. But a charismatic guy, passionate about football, very engaging.
Yeah.
We would at times as a group, we'd go down to his place down, I think it was on the A3 going down towards the south coast. He lived.
His
and
house?
We would go down there. Yeah, he was just a really lovely bloke.
Right.
Was cut him open. He was football through and through, but he was very
Yeah.
much Fulham as well.
Yeah.
He cared enormously for the club. His contacts within the game meant that he could encourage a lot of people to come into the club, and really enjoyed. It sometimes when you look back through your football career, Felix, you have contact with people that when you're in it, you take a bit of granted for.
Yeah.
My experiences as a young kid at Crystal Palace, as a young apprentice, was that at that point, with Venables in charge and George Graham as the reserve team coach and John Cartwright as the youth team coach, Bobby Moore would come in and train with us. Jeff Hurst was around it all. I was managed by Martin Peters at Sheffield United. Now, I took that very matter of fact. My dad used to sit there all the time just with his mouth wide open. He just. But as a kid, or when you're going through it, or when you're a player and you meet Jimmy Hill,
Yeah.
you're very matter of fact about it. It's only a bit later when you go, oh wow.
Yeah.
I was there, so all the questions you wanted to ask, and
Yeah.
probably you missed asking.
Yeah.
I mean, just for reference, Jimmy was a fantastic guy. That little period of getting to know Bobby Moore a bit, oh my God.
Oh, you knew Bobby? Oh, you got to know Bobby more?
He would come in and he'd train with us at Crystal Palace.
No
Because he was
way.
tight with Terry. He was a bit of a loose end. Bobby would come in and train with us.
No
and
way.
He'd help to educate us. He was, what a guy.
And he'd be
What a
running
man.
drills and all that kind of thing.
He'd
And
join in. He'd join in with the sessions.
right.
And there would be a coach there. At that point, it was Martin Hinshelwood that was there with John Cartwright.
Yeah.
But, sometimes people can really teach by doing. And, if you wanted to see what it meant to look like.
And given the position you played, you were playing were you playing against Bobby, like close to him?
No,
sort of thing?
I wasn't that. No, I wouldn't have got a lot of change out of that one. But no, you, I think all your experiences, Felix, when you play, and I'm really conscious of this, where we all think as coaches that we can teach everything and we can give everything. A lot of the time, and my growing up when I was young was, I learnt in the changing room. I learnt off the senior pros. You get structure from coaches, but the real detail, the tighter detail, the smaller detail comes from being with really good senior pros. I'm not so sure that's so prevalent these days. And good senior pros are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
But learning as a striker who at times was half decent, I learned probably more in a year playing up front with Frank Worthington than I learned from
I bet.
anybody else. But you're learning by being around that person, by doing, but so that's I think a lot of our learning, and coaches shouldn't get caught on it, but a lot of our learning comes beyond structure of sessions.
Someone at the other end of the career you played with was Andy Cole in those Fulham teams, early 90s. So you would have been playing up top with him, and you two?
Yeah.
Was that like, well, just talk about that, like how did you feel like this is a guy that's going to go on, and what was your relationship like him?
Well, I don't know if he liked it, but I loved it. I think I got a lot more out of it than Andy Cole did.
Were you off the shoulder of him type thing? Was he?
I was just around him, and I was able to pick the pieces off him. I don't think, in a little short period of a month or 2 months, I don't think I scored so many goals for the club.
Right.
And he was just a pleasure. He had a real edge. He was strong. He was quick. He had an eye for goal. He was a winner.
Yeah.
All these guys are, and he went on to get himself a fantastic career. But in that short period, I picked off a young kid that come in and really sort of went, well, that's what good looks like.
So good.
And
we beat Bolton 3-0 as well, didn't we? And you scored twice in one game, and Cole got the other.
That's right. And that was a good game. Well, we were, as I mentioned earlier about not having the funds to be able to go for something more, then all of a sudden you bring in a bit of quality.
Yeah.
And everybody else comes up as well.
Yeah.
And he certainly helped me to score some goals.
Yeah, man,
really,
I bet.
Really good. But he was, you could see where he was going.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And he had a lovely edge to him, which that competitive edge was very prevalent.
I'm going to let you go in a second, Gary, because you're about to enjoy hospitality, get Forever Fulham later. But but the thing I want to end with really is like in your multifaceted experience with Fulham. When I think about it's just before I started going your teams, but when you look at what's happened to Fulham since, and especially someone like you that contributed a lot on the pitch and off it, what's your feeling of it? Did you feel like, I missed the wave, or do you feel a sense of pride? Because, I mean, it wouldn't be over-exaggerating to say that you guys saved the club, because if those players on the pitch weren't, like you guys weren't, 50 goals, 200 games, it could have gone really south of Fulham in that period. And then if they weren't in the place in the mid-90s to be picked up, then we probably wouldn't be here now. So there's a lot of sliding doors to it. How does it live with you, your experience of Fulham, and where it's... Do you have a feeling like, I missed a boat, or like a pride of...
I was in a period that I was in. I think for all of us playing, it was a frustrating period because we weren't achieving what we would like to achieve. I think the fact that Simon Morgan hung around and played and experienced as it was starting to go up with Mickey, and as it went on beyond that, and with Kevin, and he stayed in the team, was lovely to see Morgs do that. I don't think I would have been able to play at that level, but I think anybody that plays with better players looks better as well. And it was lovely to observe from a distance after I'd left. It was lovely to see Morgs doing so well at that level, and enjoying that.
Everyone always said he used to moan a lot, Simon Morgan. Was that your...
Morgs was the worst trainer in the world.
Yeah, whatever.
Monday to Friday, you could have left him at home and let him play with his kids. On a Saturday, he was a beast.
Yeah, because I was like, the player that I saw was not that at all. He was just so competitive, so organised.
Yeah. No, he's... very competitive guy, literally with, he was a proper defender, but quite often we used him in midfield, and he would score goals. Really good in the air for his size, but a team player who would put his body on the line for the team. And as I say, if you picked him on training sessions, he probably wouldn't even get on the bench.
Right.
But when it came to games, he was. I'm being a bit cheeky there, but on a match day, you didn't have to worry about Morgs.
Yeah.
Morgs was always there.
Like you say, he was such an important thread, wasn't he, during that period with Cole and everyone?
Yeah. And he, always a pleasure to bump into him. I'm at the FA now. He's at the Premier League. It's quite funny to catch up with him at times. He's just had a brand new knee, hasn't he?
I know, yeah.
The way he played, I thought he needed that quite a long time ago. So, but it's fantastic to see him develop and enjoy that time when the club started to really move forward. And it's a pleasure to see where the club is now.
If you were to play up top with one other centre forward in history of Fulham, I'm going to throw some names at you. Who are you playing up top with? You can give me an answer based on how you'd have complemented each other, or just a name that you loved. I'm going to go Berbatov, Brian McBride, Dirk Lehmann. Shout me your name, Jeff. Mitrovic. Raul. Chuck Raul in. Louis Sahar, Mickey Conroy. You can have him if you want. Dumb ride. Bobby Zamora.
So when I come back and I coached, I was there with Bobby and with AJ.
Oh, really?
So I was observing that, and Zamora, Bobby was a really, really good striker and played well. The two of them together, it worked really well. That was the Roy period. You as a player, you'd love to play with Berbatov.
Oh,
his brain. And his brain and how he found not only space for himself, but how he could find space for other people, and the quality of how he passed the ball.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Up top with Berber.
Absolutely. That would have been fascinating. I just the linking of the brain.
Yeah.
And just trying to even visualise what the game must be like in his head.
Absolutely, man. Look, Gary, I hope you enjoy your day. I know there's so many Fulham fans that think very fondly of you. You're going to get an amazing time at half time. And yeah, like I said, there were so many people that went to Fulham and experienced your team that are quite overwhelmed where Fulham have gone to, and you're such a cool part of that. So thank you for being part of the show, man.
Pleasure, Felix. Thank you.
Gary Brazil, awesome. What a lovely guy. What a lovely guy.
Loved it. Really loved getting players from that period of time on the fix. That's one of my favourite things.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I've got a fan story for you that I want to share with you.
I love that we're getting these in.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, you can get your fan stories in fulhamfix@fulhamfc.com. We've had so many great ones, but I've just got a really kind of short little one here that I wanted to share. So this was sent in to the email. It said, in 2010, my mother and father, Geraldine and Mark Stewart, got together after having met at Craven Cottage, and later in 2012 got married and had their wedding reception at the cottage. How nice is that? Later in 2013, they had me. Fair play for doing all of this within 3 years, by the way. Nice, no point wasting time when you met the one, right? Later in 2013, they had me. Seeing as I was born in May, I wasn't able to attend my first match straight away. However, on August the 10th, I went to my first ever Fulham game at 2 months old.
Wow.
2 months old. A pre-season friendly where sadly they lost, who won to Parma. Not that this young girl will remember any of this, as she was only 2 months old. But since then, she has only missed 7 Fulham home matches.
Whoa.
Isn't that incredible? That is Chloe. Massive shout out to Chloe for that.
What, since she was 2 months old? Sorry.
She was 2 months old. They took her, and the only reason they didn't take her as like a 1 week old baby is because it was out of season. It was May, so they had to wait to the new season round.
And what year was that? 2013.
So yeah, that was 2013.
So Chloe would have missed Europa League and the away team, but been to almost every single game.
Pretty much.
Because of that, incredible.
And what's also nice is technically, if it hadn't have been for Fulham, Chloe wouldn't actually exist. So we're kind of responsible for Chloe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would just, I want to know now, does she go with her parents? Does she come now out of her own free will?
I think I'm pretty sure Chloe is there with her parents week in, week out. Like I'm almost certain of it. I think if it's the Chloe I think it is, I see her.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I see her every week. She's got an incredible Fulham hat covered in Fulham badges from over the years that I think she actually pinched off her dad.
Jeff has just messaged to the group chat. Yes, she's 13, lol. Which I think is referring to the fact that I've just asked if she goes to her free will. So yes, she'll be going with her parents. Even though I wasn't going with my parents at that age. But anyway.
You lived on the edge, mate, didn't you?
Different times.
You're a bad boy, mate. Lived on the edge.
Yeah.
Weird.
Brilliant. Love that, Chloe.
Yeah, well done, Chloe. Thank you for sending them. And if you've got any Fulham stories like that or any great interactions with the players, anything a bit quirky or different to do with Fulham, you can email them into us at fulhamfix@fulhamfc.com.
That's right, Ivan. And talking of interactions with players, a few months ago, as you know, when you do Forever Fulham, sometimes they're just ex-players from that period. Oh, yeah, so Karagounis been playing during Chloe's lifetime. Yes, he would.
I believe she might have got. Yes, she would have got a little bit of Karagounis.
Yeah, great. Okay, so that is.
But she might have only been a year old, or even less than that, I think.
So that's an even better radio segue I've ever heard one. So Chloe might remember in that first year there was a midfielder that ran the show that people fell in love with immediately, who had already won a European Championship for Greece. This guy was absolute nails, and he didn't play for Fulham very long. He played for Fulham like literally a season or two, but just out of his sheer commitment, his body language, and the way he was committed to everything, and he became fan favourite for the ages very, very quickly. Again, Ivan was unfortunately doing stadium announcing when Giorgos Karagounis came in. Top legend, spoke to me about how much he loved Fulham. Quick shout out to Fina, who was doing the interpreting of him for the day, which I hadn't realised, but she was a huge, because she's from Greece. Apparently she was really starstruck to be in his company, as I was too.
Yeah.
We had a really nice little moment here, so we're just going to chuck this in now. So this is what is commonly known at Fulham. Sorry, excuse me. This is what's commonly known at Fulham as the Chloe Karagounis crossover season. So enjoy.
George, it's so good to see you. Welcome to Fulham Fix. Welcome back to Fulham.
Thank you very much.
You have good
for the
memories here?
invitation. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very nice feeling.
I bet. Because we, at Fulham, I was saying earlier that there's not many footballers that have played, because you didn't play for Fulham for very long, actually.
Yes, only 2 years.
Only 2 years. But
Yes.
my memory is that there hasn't been a footballer that people took to so immediately. And now when we think of you, we think of someone who played for Fulham for 10 years, you know.
Thank you.
But you were so
Appreciate you.
quickly
Thank you very much.
in everyone's hearts. Because you played for them later in your career. How does it sit in your memory as being a Fulham player?
You'll be very nice here. I feel like a home,
Yeah.
like a family.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good here. Especially the first year is amazing. You have good team, good players, very good fans. Help a lot. It's always this fantastic feeling to come back in Fulham Stadium to see the games, to see some friends. It's 2 years for me is amazing because it's my last 2 years of my career.
Yeah.
It's significant. It's good for me because Fulham my last team professional.
Yeah.
After UK, you play World Cup with the national team,
Mm-hmm.
and after Fulham Collins play World Cup. But in Fulham, it's my last team.
Yeah.
It's very very nice memories.
I was in holiday in Greece maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and someone asked me, who do you support? And I said, Fulham. And he goes, Karagounis. And I go, Karagounis. And we hugged each other just because we knew you.
Yes.
So there was like a strong bond between people just because you bring a lot of positive energy to places. And I think that's how most Fulham fans think of you. Just quickly, I want to do 2 things. You scored 2 famous goals for Fulham. Firstly, against Wigan. Do you remember the goal?
Yes, of course.
Karagounis, urged to shoot, he might do here, and does! What a goal! Karagounis does it again.
This move is my characteristic.
Yeah.
Is go to the shoot after 20 meters, 25. Is my type of the game.
Yeah.
Especially this goal because you make one dribble before to score.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice goal.
Yeah.
It's first goal in Premier League.
Oh, it was your first goal?
Yes, with the Fulham. One good memory, good memory because also the goal is very very good, especially in the fans. Whereas the fans of Fulham celebrate with the fans.
Yeah.
It's very good experience. It's good.
Let's get Blackpool goal.
Fulham drew level thanks to a 25-yard strike from Giorgos Karagounis. 1-1 the final score.
Jens.
That is the goal. You remember this one?
Yes, I remember, yes. One of the best goals of my career.
Yeah.
Of course.
Did you see it intentionally?
Yes. It's okay. Like said before, this is my characteristic is to shoot for long distance. For long distance, let's go to the score. It's amazing. It's
Beautiful.
amazing because you make 1-1 with Blackpool for the cup.
Yeah.
It's not out.
Yeah, totally.
Stay.
One final thing to say. I think the reason Fulham fans really loved you is you were so committed. You seemed so passionate about playing football, and your energy really fed into the stands in a way that your sort of body language would communicate a
Yes.
feeling.
Yes.
Did you all, because by that time you'd already won the European Championship with Greece, so you had that energy. Did you always have that, or was that something you developed as you got older?
For the young, I love football. I born with the football
Yeah.
in my village, the small village.
Yeah.
After school, all the day, I am around the house, talk about the friends. Sometimes the friends, you not come with me because you have another
Yeah.
jobs to go. Me all the time with the ball to play until the 10 in the night, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I love football. I live with the football. That's right. I have a lot of passion for football. This feeling, the fans, you understand these feelings. That's right. After many years, if you see me, Fulham fans, you love all the
Yeah.
time. You speak very well. It's very good with me. I feel like the family, Fulham. Also, the stadio, traditional stadio, you feel like it's very nice to be in England, especially in England football. It's I love a lot these 2 years here to play for Fulham. It's amazing experience, especially for me because I come 35 years. It's not easy to play in Premier League level this age, but all the team, the coach, the staff here to help me a lot to do my best. The fans also with me, it's very close. It's beautiful experience.
Do you remember the song? We're on the Karagounis. We're on the... You remember this song?
Yes.
What such a strange song.
I remember. I don't know.
Yeah, do you know why
How
this
is
song?
it? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're on the Karagounis. This is the
don't
first time this song was sung at Fulham?
Maybe today again.
Yeah, I hope so. Come on, Fulham.
Okay, yes.